Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast coming up next. Special guest, Dab Savage is in the building. We gonna talk that talk coming up next.
Powerhouse, dangerous slam, surgical, can't repair once I break every limb. The general, which ring you prefer, I defend. Cause the ruler always prays on the food in his hand. I'm telling you, fam, my entourage is definitely stacked. Don Callis, I'm related to every wolf in my pack. Diesel like Shaq, I'm always outside for the script.
This is the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast, your home for real pro wrestling talk.
Soon, Bang Out Club will meet their fate. We have a secret weapon. Someone from Lisa Bang Out's past, just in case she tries to get involved in our business. Meet our insurance policy.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we the champs. Thanks for listening. We gone.
You want the best? You're looking at her. This ain't just a sport, it's a lifestyle. Welcome to the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast. We are the champions of wrestling talk.
Please stand by.
Now, here's your host for Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast, the insightful Scott Bars, wrestling media in the dynamic salute, Darkwing Dub.
We back. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more content. Before we get started, I want to apologize for all the technical difficulties we've been having. Had some issues last week. Personal issues had to take care of. So that's why we wasn't able to broadcast this interview. This interview was supposed to be taking place last week. So we apologize for that. But we are back. Without further ado, please, sir, introduce yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. For those of you who don't know who I am, which would be really, really sad if you don't know who I am Dab Savage, former pro wrestling superstar and now author. And I'm really excited to be here on the podcast with you guys.
And we appreciate you as well. Like we said, we was having a little bit of technical difficulties last week, but we are on tonight. Usually how we do this, my bro over there, Southern King, will start off the interview and start popping the questions from there, and then I'll tag in as needed. So let's get it going.
I was trying to tell you to go ahead and do it. I got a little monster over here making noise.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll get started, and then he'll tag in. So we'll switch it up tonight. So first and foremost, I just want to appreciate you for taking time out your busy schedule to be a part of this podcast. It means a lot to us. You are actually the first author / wrestler to be on our show, the first author. So you get the inaugural first right there, for sure.
Man. Well, I mean, shit, we've already set the bar way too high, so here we go.
Yeah, you're the first author. So I wanna start off with talking about your book, because I know we're gonna talk about wrestling. So I want to start talking about your book. So tell us a little bit about your book and what should we expect when we purchase and read through.
Yeah, man, you should expect a roller coaster ride, because that's exactly what it is. It's not necessarily, obviously it's about wrestling, right? Wrestling's kind of what, opened up some doors for me, experience wise, led us some crazy tales, and some that I'm not super proud of, some that I am very proud of, so my book's it's like a collection of short stories. It starts off kind of my upbringing and kind of what led me down the path to get into the wild world of pro wrestling. And Yeah, man, it's an easy book. You know, it's I mean, I wrote it, so obviously it's not too complicated, but it's a you know, it's fun. It's a short read. You know, it's kind of inspiring in a way. You know, it's a you know, I've said before, it's not an ultimate success story, and it's not a sad, somber, depressing story. It's you know, it's real shit. It's a real dude that worked hard and you know chased this dream that he had, and you know you know didn't have a you know a ton of doors open up for him without you know getting in there and working hard, and just lots of debauchery and and poor choices in between, man. But I've been really you know humbled and stuff from the feedback that I've gotten, and yeah, man, I think you guys will really enjoy it. I think any of your fans hear the pod, you know, like I said, obviously if you're watching this, listening to this, you know, obviously you are a fan of pro wrestling, but even if you're not, it's just a funny, feel good book, man, for sure.
Yeah, I was reading through a little bit just from what I could you know get off of Google and everything, and it spoke a lot about like let me before I get into that, right? Is this your second book or is this your first book?
This is the first one. This is my yeah first crack at it. So
Okay,
yeah,
because not to cut you off, because when I was looking up the book, it seemed like you had another book before this one. So I just wanted to verify and make sure because I was seeing another book too. So I just wanted to verify and make sure that this was the very first one, so then I know how to, you know, go about the questioning and stuff like that.
for sure. Yep. First one. I attempted it about 10 years ago, and I'm glad I didn't do it because just you know so much has happened in those 10 years. So, but yeah, first and only. I set it up for a sequel, so we'll see. Gonna pump this one as much as possible, and you know eventually do number two. But yeah, the first timer. I lost my innocence,
Mhm.
man.
No problem. So my first question is wrestling is storytelling through the movement. Writing is storytelling through the pose. What was your hardest part about translating the energy of a live crowd into a silent book?
Wow, that's a great question. Um, you know, I've always, you know, I've always really sort of considered myself a performer. You know, whether it be wrestling, whether it be acting. I play music. You know, I like I'm an attention whore. You know, I like the attention, and so I will say the hardest thing, um, not necessarily hard, man. It actually was kind of like exhilarating because you know you know when you have to step away from the world of wrestling and you know you don't get that buzz you know being in front of the live crowd, being able to kind of just sit back and you know reminisce and remember some of these you know some of these stories and bring back some you know happy and positive times in my life, man. It was you know it was like it was crazy. Like once I started it was like you know I couldn't stop. You know I was like I would remember something and it would lead to something else. And, you know, I got like, you know, it's kind of like going to the gym or training for wrestling or training for a marathon or whatever, you know, you wake up every day and you're excited to sit down with your pen and paper. So, um, really wasn't like I mean, you know, I think the hardest part was, you know, remembering some of the stuff and going through some old pictures and, you know, just, you know, having just to face the reality that you know you're 42 years old now, and you know you can't perform like that anymore. But yeah, man, it was crazy. It was literally just like I would like have to force myself to like go to sleep because I just didn't want to stop. So yeah, that that's kind of the deal on that.
Yeah, it's crazy because you know they say you know once you get into your 40s, it's like a reality check. You know, like for most of us, you know, like the 40s, like it's like you still got a little bit of youth left, but then it's like your body's reminding you that no, your youth is kind of dwindling away. I mean, we all can't be LeBron, we can't drink from the fountain of youth or the tree sap or whatever he's doing over there. We all can't be that. But oh, you saying you? Yeah, we all can't do that, but yeah, I get it. I understand, but not for nothing though. Like there's still a lot of athletes out there still competing in their 40s. So did you feel like when you decide to retire in your 40s, did you feel like you was retiring too soon? You didn't feel like you had just a little bit of a spark left?
Yes and no. So I was like, I was 90 to nothing, like, eat, drink, sleep wrestling for, the better part of a decade. And, I had done a few, attempts at WWE, and, I did a few tryout matches with TNA, and, had a, man, I just had a really bad experience, and a lot of it was me being a diva, and maybe being immature. It was probably 12 years ago, and when you work indies, you work. Man, you've always got those dudes in the locker room that are just fat as shit. They're taping up their knees, and they look like crap, and they're like trying to give you advice, and you're just like, and when you're around that and you see that all the time, like you just have this. With me, I was just like, I never want to be that dude. I never want to be the fat old guy with the big bald spot and taping up his knees and talking about the glory days. And so when the TNA thing didn't really go, I got to work a couple matches, and I got to work a match in my hometown at the Civic Center that I grew up watching wrestling at, and so there's parts of it that I'm really proud of and that were cool, but it didn't end how I wanted to. And so I kind of did like fan fest type stuff, and I would kind of just work shows for fun and that kind of thing. But I had some pretty bad injuries. Like I've torn both my rotator cuffs. I've torn my patella tendon in my right knee. I've had several concussions and things like that. And I was kind of able to walk away. We were talking about, LeBron. Shit, man, 42, daddy still got it. But I was able to kind of take a step back when, and kind of keep my health. And I, you never say never. I actually did my quote unquote retirement match, back in November. The first time I had, worked a show in years and years. And, man, there's nothing like it. Just that buzz from the crowd and, hearing your music. And so who knows? If I, today I'm like, oh, I'm good. I got it out of my system. But 3 months from now, I may get a random phone call and dust off the old spandex and the baby oil and give it one more ride. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. The only reason why I'm saying that is because, you see wrestlers, participate in this sport way into their almost like their 60s for some, and some past that. Prime example, even though we all know that his best years were behind him, Ric Flair done retired how many times?
Right.
He retired how many times before he decided really, and I get it, you try to squeeze a little bit of that twilight of a moment, I just feel like, for some especially people like Flair, I feel like, once he had wrapped up his WWE career, because he honestly, he gave some pretty good matches when he was up there in his age, in the closing moments of his WWE career. I was actually surprised. The match with Shawn Michaels was pretty good. The match with Undertaker wasn't that bad neither, So I was actually surprised, but I felt like after that he probably should have, you know what I mean? He probably should have
Yeah.
just fell back after that because the when he came back for the NWA match and he teamed up with his in-law at the time, and it was against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. You
Right.
know, although as a fan, I was excited. I was also like, man, he can't really give the stellar performance that he once could. You you know, so
Sure.
like it kind of just made me feel bad a little bit. But you know, I understood. You know, like when you got that spark, you got that spark. You gotta try to like you know, as much as possible, try to harness it. You
Sure.
know, so you
Well,
know.
you know, and well, he's got to pay for all those ex-wives too. So that's that's part of the reason. And
Yeah.
I was at the WrestleMania match with Sean. I mean, that was just magical, just being there in Orlando and seeing that. And
Yeah.
man, it was awesome. You know, stories. You know, if we could all write our own story and everything would fall into place, that would have been it. But
Yeah.
it's like you're saying, man. You know, you never lose that buzz or that wanting to do it. And you know, just I've made some poor choices in life, and but the best buzz I've ever had is the one from a wrestling crowd, and you know, hearing that music, and whether you're a heel or a baby face, you know, boos or cheers. I mean, there's just nothing. There's nothing to compare to it. So I get why someone, you know, especially someone like a Flair, you know, that did it at such a high level for such a long time, like would have such a hard time letting it go. And you know, you see a lot of the guys too, you know, on a smaller level,
Hmm.
you know, that maybe didn't make the money that a Flair made, you know, that are, you know, still working these fair shows and these, you know, National Guard Armory shows, you know, at 60, 70 years old. And you can't really knock them because, you know, a lot of those dudes they didn't make, you know, the territory days, man. They weren't making the millions of dollars like these guys are making now. And obviously there's no retirement plan. So,
Hmm.
you know, so if they got to work for a couple $100 outside of a Shoney's, they're going to do it, you know? So,
Yeah.
it's interesting to kind of to see it. And, but man, there's a guy, are you familiar with a wrestler named Chick Donovan?
Sounds familiar.
Man, you should Google this guy sometime. He's from Georgia, and he's older than Flair. I mean, he's got to be like mid-70s probably,
Hmm.
and dude is still just jacked to the gild, like,
Yeah.
and still wrestles shows every weekend, and still looks, you know, I mean, you can tell he's old, but man, he's an interesting cat. I mean, if you there's videos of him from the late 70s, early 80s wrestling Hogan when Hogan was still Sterling Gold or whatever. And
Hmm.
yeah, he's an interesting cat. But I've been able to, you know, be in a locker room with him and just, you know, pick his brain and hear all these cool stories from those days. But yeah, man, he's so I get it. I definitely get it.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It's funny because we talking about wrestlers in the age and whatever. Like have you heard of Mike Jackson?
Oh, actually, Mike Jackson, yeah, he's a prime example. Dude's still awesome.
Man, he's an exception because I seen him wrestle like 2 years ago. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago in a TNA event. It might have been
TNA,
longer
yeah.
than that. And he did the old school like Undertaker
Yep.
and did a Hurricanrana and then like kicked up and then just was like it was nothing. I was like, yo, how old is this guy? And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So when you see something like that, what comes to your mind? Because like to me personally, like, you know, I feel like there's certain wrestlers that could defy the laws of physics when it comes to your body and what you can and cannot take. And with him, it's like different because like I would feel like, you know, in his time of professional wrestling when he was in his prime, he did certain things to preserve his body to this point. So just in case he decided he was going to wrestle matches here and there, like there's more people just like him. Like I chat with Too Cold Scorpio. Too Cold Scorpio is another example. Too Cold, you know, he's gotta be at least close to his 60s, and he still can work a match. He still could do a front flip and a back flip. He still could land. He still could do all the tumbles and whatnot. So it's just like it's shocking to me how, like, you know, to see that from an age perspective and how the the wrestlers can preserve themselves to that point. So do you think that that wrestlers nowadays take a little bit too much risk, and that's why careers end a lot sooner than what they should?
I do. I think it's there's pros and cons. Like, yes, do it like the product now. I do keep up with it. I don't watch it regularly or anything like that. But there's the pros are yes, they do take too many risks. There's too many. I think that there's too many just like crazy spots, and a lot of the storytelling aspects is gone, because when you see a just fantastic wrestling match, it stands out. Like you can take for example, I don't know, like I know you guys were doing the Rumble review. Like, take a match like Gunther and AJ Styles. That was an incredible match. But those guys didn't do anything crazy. There was no dives on the outside or going through tables or anything like that. But yeah, but I think the pros and cons I think that these guys now do way too many like high spots, crazy spots. The pro is they don't live the same lifestyle that they did, in the 80s and 90s. So, these guys are wrestling, once a week at best. They're not doing the house shows and stuff anymore, which I think is caused a lot. Why I think maybe the match quality isn't what it used to be. Because, house shows, the best things about house shows were people were able to kind of work house shows, and practice for TV. So if we're wrestling each other, we might work 4 times in a week before Nitro or Raw or whatever. So you have a really good feel. Where now it's there's not as much. They're not working as regularly. But these dudes also they live a lot cleaner lifestyles than people did back in the day too. The wrestlers now are they're not doing blow at the strip club. They're at home playing video games, in their off time. So it's, but yeah, I mean, I think, it's definitely healthier, like, as far as the extracurricular stuff. But I just feel like, I just feel like you're trying to get that holy shit moment every single match. You don't need that, That's why, cage matches back in the day used to be such a big deal, because it was a feud that built and built and built and built, and the only way was to end it would be like in a steel cage. And now you got guys doing steel cage matches for the first time they're ever wrestling. It's like it doesn't really mean anything. So, yeah, I mean, I think the a lot of the just like the storytelling components are out of it. But like I said, when you see a great match, man, it's just like, whoa, holy crap! Like I thought, like the more modern stuff, like I thought the stuff with like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre was really, really good. Because you really believe that those dudes hated each other, and they build it and build it and build it. So, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, a great wrestling match, man. There's nothing like it. I mean, and it can still be done. I just don't think you see it as often as you did back in the day.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I feel like what they do now, it's cool, but I also feel like because they do it so much and so often, it takes away from the appeal of wanting to see it later on. You know what I'm saying? Because they do it so effortlessly now. Like, you know what I mean? So like I get it. I get it. I get it to understand, as far as the visuals, the visuals are a lot different from what we grew up watching, But I also think too, like, if they pulled back just a little bit and, you know, save those high spots for certain moments, you know, it might be more meaningful. So yeah, I definitely understand. Um, I want to ask you this. So, many wrestlers write and tell all memoirs. Without giving too much away, what is the core message of your book that you felt was missing from current library of wrestling literature?
That man, another great question. Um, Man, I think I think my book is. I think the core message there is like, um, it just to that life is people can say like, oh, you got to work hard and or and all that kind of stuff, and you do, but life is about opportunity and luck and chance,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that be relationships, whether that be your job, whether that be winning a scratcher when you're getting filling up gas. Like it's all about being in the right place at the right time. And I think my message is just you do have to keep plugging away, but you have to understand that just because you work super super hard, and you don't maybe you don't succeed right away. You just gotta just keep putting yourself out there. You gotta keep swiping right. Like you got, and I didn't come from money or anything like that. I wasn't really that athletic when I was young, but I worked super super hard in the gym, and I worked hard in like my training for wrestling, and it opened up a ton of doors for me. Like I became kind of a big fish in a small pond pretty quickly, because I just kept putting myself out there and I kept taking chances, and that opened up doors with music and acting and obviously wrestling. So I think the main message is just put yourself in as many scenarios to succeed, and eventually you're gonna, again, like, did I ever main event WrestleMania? No, but I don't know very many people that chased a dream of something that they loved, and achieved it, and wrestled at a high level, for like I said, with TNA, and there's and so yeah, I mean, I guess the main thing is just keep taking chances, keep putting yourself out there, and whether and look at things cup half full, like and yeah, man, it's just a way to live life. I mean, anybody can be normal. Anybody can sit in a cubicle and hate their life, and have the white picket fence if that's what they want. But I think it takes a really special individual to just bust it, and and take what you want. And that's kind of the message that I try to convey.
Yeah, definitely. Wrestling takes a lot of endurance and mental stability. Me and bro have talked about it plenty of times with other athletes. And the other athletes always say that there's nothing like professional wrestling. Like, you really have to have a mental endurance to endure a lot of the training, a lot of the bumps, a lot of the trash talk. Cause let's face it, when you get in the ring, it's not everybody's going to like you. And
Right.
and you hear them stories, like, and this is kind of the reason why, cause I always had, my little dreams and, whatever, of like trying to break into business myself, at one point in time. But this guy, but, that kind of like steered me away from it, because like, I just was like, well, what if this person don't like me and he really tries to hurt me and this and that? How am I going to respond? You know what I mean? Like, it might turn into a shoot and this and that. Like, I had so many weird, scenarios in my head. It just kind of made me, veer away from it altogether, and So, like, I mean, I guess, and I mean, that kind of is my fault because, like, I kind of like, allow my fears to control, that's those type of situations. But then when I hear these stories from these other wrestlers, I'm like, dang, like that's crazy. Why would he do that? But
Right.
you know,
Yeah, and that's happened to me. Like a lot of people freaking hated me because I did a lot of the things that a lot of guys didn't do. Like my thought process is you have to look like a star. Like nobody's gonna pay money to see somebody that looks like their cousin Larry. So I took really, I spent a lot of money on wardrobes. I had a lady from Vegas that did runway shows that made all my outfits, and I stayed in the gym, and I've focused on being able to cut good promos and stuff like that. So like, there were always guys that had been in the business a lot longer than I had that I got opportunities that they didn't get, but they looked like crap. I mean, if you got a gut out to here and you've got shitty gear and nobody's going to want to put you on a poster because you don't draw any money. And so I had tons of dudes that try to take liberties in the ring with me, or wouldn't go over matches, or whatever the scenario would be. And I mean, it kind of toughened me up. I don't know, there's this one guy I heard there's this one time I was working with this guy, and so I used to have this rule, and it was like the Ric Flair chops. Like you could do 3 of them. Like if you chop me more than 3 times, like what are we really doing? Like why do you need to chop me 5 times? Like that's stupid. It hurts. It's stupid. Like you can chop me 3 times. And there was this guy that I saw, and I mentioned that. I was like, look, man, chops are cool. Like if you get lost in a match and you need to just kind of regroup for a second. But and anyway, so I started counting. He got to 3, and I said, that's your last one. He did it again. I punched him. So I punched him as hard as I've ever punched anybody in his ear, busted his eardrum. And I mean, I learned his lesson. We actually worked like 6 months later, and he didn't chop me 1 time. So
wow. Yo, that right there deserves what we call the Shao Kahn laugh. Whew, man. See,
they don't call me Dab Savage for nothing, baby.
Man, that was diabolical. Man, I was trying to hear where you was leading to when you said that. I was like, wow, I wasn't even expecting him to say that. I was expecting him to say something totally different. I was like, oh, okay, so hey, yeah, that definitely was a savage moment for sure. Yeah. You should put that on your shirt. Savage moment. You should put that on the shirt and like right
I like
there.
it.
Yeah, savage moment.
I like it. Hey, 10% goes your way. All right, you came up with
it. For sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Dub. It's on you.
Sorry about that, fellas. I finally got my little guy to go to bed.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool, man.
So, what is something humbling that you've been through or that you've read since you've put your book out?
But you mean like something humbling, like that someone has said or like about the actual book itself?
Either about the book, about you as a person or as a wrestler, like just since you've put the book out.
Yeah. Man, I think the most humbling thing for me has been like, obviously when I was promoting it, like on like social media through like Facebook and stuff like that, I had people that I haven't, you know how you have your Facebook friends that maybe you went to high school with them or something, but you literally haven't talked to this person in 20 years. You like their picture every once in a while, but you don't really know that much about them. And man, I was really humbled by the people that I didn't really know, besides we had geometry together in 2001 or whatever, that took the time out to purchase it, and maybe may or may not have been wrestling fans or whatever at all, but I got a lot of comments about just some of the stuff that I put on there, like is like from like being a child, and just some of my struggles as far as because I'm very candid and very open in the book. Like, I mean, I try to play. I'm kind of like the last breed of male with like bravado, kind of an alpha male. But like I open up about depression issues, mental health issues, some substance, whatever in the book. And I think just getting those like really like that positive affirmation from people that actually took the time to buy the book and spend and to really read it, and that got like a better understanding of who I am as an actual person. And it was super humbling. It's because my buddies who I drink beer with on the weekends, they know both sides of me. They know the Dab Savage side, and they know the regular old me side. But it was just cool to and humbling to get people that took the time to get to know me as and even like I said, and even if a lot of them weren't wrestling fans, they were like, oh, this dude that I knew 20 years ago wrote a book, I want to check it out. And so yeah, that's probably been the coolest. And then just like like having people on Amazon that I don't even know that have left like 5-star reviews. It's like, man, someone took a chance on a book that off of a title and a brief description, and spent the money and took the time to read it and learn about some dude that they didn't know, and took the time to leave a 5-star review, which it's just cool that people that I'll never meet in person kind of know my life story, which is kind of weird when you think about it, but also pretty cool as well.
I was looking at as a matter of fact, I still have it pulled up here on Amazon, some of the reviews and stuff. I was looking at it, and I was going to see if I could buy a copy of it without having a Kindle, and I was still trying to figure that out. But yeah, you have a bunch of 5-star reviews on here.
Yeah, and the reason, so with Amazon's weird. So, and obviously I'm new at this. So like, if you can publish a hard copy through Amazon, but they eat like all the profits off of it. So for you to really, legitimately for you to make anything off of the book, you would have to charge way more than it's worth, So like for hard copies, I've just been selling. I mean, I've self-published some, and then
Okay.
I've just been I just if any of your listeners or anyone is interested in it, you could just DM me, and then I'll like sign and just mail a copy, because that way Amazon doesn't eat at my profits, and I can sell it for where I don't feel like I'm like ripping somebody off.
Right. So I'll message you from my personal account, because we're getting ready to go on a trip soon, and
Cool.
I'm gonna have my wife drive, and I'm gonna read the book.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to DM you too, because I want a copy, because I want to read it while I'm at work. When I'm on break, I want to read. So that's what I want to do. So yeah, I'll definitely.
Yeah, and that's the thing about us though. Like, we will have these wrestlers, especially the ones that haven't really made it to quote unquote the big leagues like WWE, AEW. We'll try our best to support them by buying a T-shirt or doing what we can to help get them to where they need to be. So, I mean, just
That's
about
awesome.
every wrestler that we've had on here outside of the big names like a Buff Bagwell and Ahmed Johnson, we've turned around and gone and support and bought just something simple like a T-shirt, just to
That's
say
awesome.
thank you and show some support. So I want to make sure that when I purchase this book that you're getting the support that you need. So if that means skipping through Amazon and going straight to you, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, and like I said, any of your listeners, same thing. Like I said, I want to make sure. Like, obviously, I did this as kind of a passion project, and obviously not trying to get rich off of it or anything like that. So, and I just kind of want to get the word out, and I did notice you guys. I was looking at some of your videos, and I did notice that you had Buff on a few weeks back, and this is a story that's actually in my book, but it's a pretty funny story about Buff Bagwell. If you guys want to hear it, it's a pretty cool story.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I when I was a kid, well, I say kid, I was probably in like 9th grade, 10th grade, something like that, and my favorite wrestler was Buff Bagwell. I'm from Georgia. WCW I was more into WCW than I was WWF, because WCW used to come do house shows, and I'd get to go watch nitros and things like that. Well, I always thought Buff was like, I just thought he was like the coolest. And this is the early stages of the internet. So he had a website that was like buffbagwell.com or something like that, and it had his phone number on it, because I guess he was doing bookings and things like that, autograph signings or whatnot. So this is the prehistoric cell phone days, the Nokias that were this big, and and
the Zach
so
Morris phone.
Yeah, play snakes, and I'd gotten his number off there and I mean, obviously I wasn't that cool, but I'd saved his number in my phone, and so like it would anytime you called it would just go straight to his voicemail, and it would say like, "You have reached the voicemail box of Buff Bagwell," or whatever. And so I had it in my phone. So like it was Thanksgiving, and we were all all got done with lunch, and we were all playing football on the street or whatever we did, and I love just making up BS stories. So I was like, guys, that like I'm really good friends with Buff Bagwell, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, "You don't know Buff Bagwell?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I got his number in my phone." And I was like, "You want me to call him?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I was gonna call him because I just assumed that it was gonna go straight, literally no ring, straight to the voicemail. So I'm sitting there, and I got it on, I'm like, here we go, and all of a sudden it starts ringing. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. I didn't really think anything of it. All of a sudden, hello. I was like, oh. So I like kind of walk off, and I'm like, I'm like a 9-year-old girl. I'm like, Buff. And, he's like, "Who's this?" And I was like, man, you're gonna think I'm such a douchebag. I was like, but I made up this story that you and I were friends. I got your number off your website. I didn't think you were going to actually answer the phone. I was like, and I told my buddies that I knew you, and he just starts laughing. He's like, "Well, put him on the phone." And so anyway, I put him on speaker, and I was like, "Hey guys, my buddy Buff wants to talk to you." And he's like, he cut a promo. He's like, I'm Buff. I'm the stuff the ladies can't get enough, and happy Thanksgiving, Chandler, or something like, and hung up, and all my buddies were like, "Holy crap, you really do know Buff Bagwell." And I'm like, "Yeah, I told you, we're boys." And so fast forward like 10 years later, I'm in like the wrestling business, and I'm doing like a fan fest show, and anyway, like got to meet Buff and like tell him that story, and anyway, he signed a picture for me, and it says, "To Dab Savage, happy Thanksgiving, Buff Bagwell."
Hey, he's an awesome guy.
Yeah, man. And he's been through a ton. It's I've been keeping up with his his YouTubes and stuff like that, and seems to be in good spirits with everything that's kind of going on. So that's the best you can really ask for somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. He kind of got pretty deep into his story before we had to cut it off because he had somewhere to be. But that was one of my more favorite interviews that we've done, because it just like you, is like it just took me back to my childhood of walking around junior high school talking about I'm buffing on the stuff and doing the pose and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, absolutely, man.
For sure. I used to, man, I wasn't even in shape, but I used to walk around with, overalls and no shirt. I had a Dr. Seuss hat and overalls with no shirt. And, man, Buff was my dog for sure.
I remember when we asked him about his finisher, the blockbuster. People still use the blockbuster till this day.
Oh, yeah. It was super innovative. And like you were talking about earlier, Too Cold Scorpio. Man, talk about somebody who I feel like doesn't really get the like mainstream respect and credit that he should. Talk about a dude that was doing way, way, way ahead of his time. Man, Scorpio all day, every day, man. There was nobody doing that stuff in the early 90s.
Yeah, we discussed that with him a few times on TikTok, and especially the match that he had with Chris Benoit, the match he had with Benoit. That match was classic.
Yeah.
And crazy because I didn't even know he faced Benoit. And I watched a lot of WCW back in the day, and I did not know he faced Benoit. And then here comes this match on YouTube, classic match. And then I was just like, oh, snap, he faced Benoit. They had a banger of a match. I was like, wow. So
I'll have to go back and check it. I didn't. I mean, if I saw it, it was a long time ago, and I don't remember. But I'll go back and pull that up on.
Yeah. He faced Chris Benoit. He faced a lot of people that I didn't know he wrestled. He faced a lot of cats. I believe he faced him. If it wasn't an ECW, it was in WC, but it was one of the two. But they went at it, and it was like a 5-star match. I'm not even fronting. It was
That's
excellent
awesome.
match. Yeah. My bad, Dub. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
No, you good. Hold on. I'm talking to my daughter real quick. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you this real quick. So in wrestling, you're taught to protect the business and keep a tough exterior. As an author, you have to be vulnerable. Did you find it difficult to peel back the layers and be honest with your readers?
Yeah, definitely tough because it's like you said, it's kind of a 180 from what you've done and the image that you portray.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I will say, it was almost like therapeutic in a way. I mean, I probably should, but I'm not. I don't go to therapy or anything anymore. But just like putting all that stuff out and just like, because it's almost like you're getting it off your chest, and it's scary because you're like, man, someone may think a certain way of me, but man, I got thick skin, and I'm one of those people that if you don't like me, you don't like me. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But no, it was definitely different. But at the end, when it was all said and done, and I was able to get it out there, very, very therapeutic. It was almost like a sigh of relief to be able to do it. So, but yeah, so yes and no on that.
Okay. Yeah, I think being somebody that you've written a book and everything, I do think it's therapeutic, in a way to like being able to allow your fans to know you in that type of way, because a lot of times they say, and let's be for real, they say kayfabe is dead. They say it's dead. They say it's not around anymore. So, I mean, to be able to get the fans to know you in that type of way, I think it creates kind of a personal type of bond and relationship that you probably wouldn't get nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? And
Sure.
I think it takes a strong-willed person to be able to articulate themselves in a book and share those personal moments that they have had within their career, and just show that they're human. They go through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you hear these stories about when you get to know your favorite wrestler, and sometimes you get to know them and you don't like them no more for a bunch of reasons. I mean, we could name a bunch of wrestlers right now that
Yeah.
probably don't like anymore because we heard such and such. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Or you met them. What's the old saying? Never meet your heroes.
yeah,
So, but you're talking about kayfabe being dead. I will tell you, and I've been a little out of the game, but when I first started wrestling, I would take if any show I could get, right? Like I'm just trying to get practice and get my name out, and I didn't care if it was in front of 15 people, it would in the grass, or if it was in front of a few thousand people. But I remember when I first started, there was this like really really crappy like fed in like Dothan, Alabama, or some like little town in Alabama, and they did not know kayfabe was not dead in small town Alabama. I was a heel, and they absolutely hated me so much. And I remember one night I had come out and I cut this promo, and I was like, put down your Natty Light cans and your dip cups and put your teeth in and smile real big because Dab Savage is here, and like just broke them all down. And I was walking out to my car, and like all the other shows that I had wrestled, it was kind of like you stayed in character, but it was kind of haha. Like if someone wanted to take a picture or something after the show, even if I was a heel, I'd still take a picture with them, or whatever. And I'm walking out, and this lady, she had to be 85 years old. And she used some of the most colorful language that I have never been referred to any of those names, let alone by like an 85-year-old lady. And she ended up throwing her high heel shoe at me, and and like hit me in the head with it. And I was like, I just saw this lady, and she's just pointing, and every 4-letter word, every homophobic slur you could ever hear. And anyway, so I took her. I got in my car. I was riding with somebody, and I took her shoe, and she's like beat on the door because she wanted her shoe back after she had thrown it at me. And I was like, hell no, you're not getting your shoe back. I drove off, and I got about, I don't know, I kept that thing in my gear bag for like 3 months just because I thought it was funny that I had this old lady's like high heel shoe in my wrestling bag. But so in some areas, some areas they still believe, and that makes for some fun stories and fun times. So
well, I mean, you know what they say, like if you get the fans that hate you like that, then you doing something right, because not for nothing, being a heel, there's an artistry behind it. Like
sure.
You have to, like, if you really want them to hate you, you gotta really, 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 really dig in their skin, And sometimes, people are successful, other times people are not, and then you got the in between where they could just hate you, but they still love you at the same time. Like, how many times have we hated Stone Cold or The Rock, but we
Sure.
still loved him?
Sure.
Another example, Dominic Mysterio. We all hated him, but we loved him too at the same
Right.
time. You know what I mean? Because it just was like, we just loved to hate him, Like the mustache, the mullet, you know what I mean? Thinking he's Eddie Guerrero and all this other like, it's classic artistry. I not for nothing, but I love heel work. You know what I mean? Like,
Man,
seeing the heels go to work like that, like it's dope to me.
buddy, I tell you, with when you're doing independent shows and stuff like that, you're not making a ton of money, but you can. And if you're a heel, like nobody's gonna buy your 8x10s or anything like that, So, man, what I used to do is I would buy like like the church fans, like the old lady fans. I had a bunch of them made that had like dab with like the no smoking thing through it, like the anti, and so I'd cut a promo, and I'd say something like, if I see anyone else was one of those anti-Dab Savage fans. I'm leaving this building and I'm never coming back. Next thing you know, there's 20 people running over to my merch table buying the fans that I'm selling. So, yeah, you had to, you know, when you're hustling like that, man, you had to be creative, and
yeah, that's dope. I get it. Yeah. Hey, you know, that's an easy way to do the sales pitch right there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you want to participate in hating Dab? Okay. I mean, let's do the reverse role. I'm gonna get you to buy them fans without you even knowing that you buying the fans just to hate me. You know, so
Yep.
yeah. I get it. Yeah, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I ain't even gonna lie. That's pretty dope to do that. So yeah, I get it. Yeah. So you spend a lot of time on the independent circuit. What is the one thing about the indie grind that the average fan completely misunderstands?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. I mean, depending on the show. I mean, if you're wrestling on a show that there's nobody there, they probably assume that you're not making money, a ton of money. But I think I don't think the average fan realizes that. I mean, dude, sometimes you're in a car for 8 or 9 hours, to go to one of these shows to then wrestle for 10 minutes. And just the time on the road, and a lot of time, when you're working independent shows, you typically have like a real job too, a shoot job, right? So you're working your 40-hour work week. You're getting up every day to go to the gym, and you're trying to hustle and eat healthy, and then you're spending your whole weekend basically in a car. So I just think they even if they follow independent wrestling, they see you for the 10 minutes when you're in gimmick, and they think they see the cool side of it, but they don't necessarily see the all the kind of behind the scenes, maybe working a job that you hate so you can support, so you can have the money to obviously pay your bills, but like to buy snazzy wardrobes, and just the amount of time that you spend in a freaking car, man, God. And if somebody's got like crappy music taste, you're stuck in the car with them for 8 hours, man. It can make for a real miserable night.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because like hearing some of the wrestlers' stories about their rides, going to certain places and having events and stuff like that, and them talking about what happens on the road and things like that. Do you have any road stories that you have encountered while on the?
Yeah. So my probably my favorite story is when in 2011, WrestleMania was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was doing my best to really, really promote Dab Savage. I'd gotten hurt. I tore my knee a few months prior, so I wasn't able to wrestle, but and I'd gained some weight because you can't walk, so I'm still eating 3 double cheeseburgers a day with my Diet Coke, but I'm not burning off the calories and stuff like that. But I got invited to this party that Kevin Nash was throwing, and so I was going there because I was trying to promote Dab Savage, and I get there, and it's like heaven, man. It's a bunch of old WCW guys, which that's who I mark out for. And so I don't know if you remember Above Average Mike Sanders, but he was in like the Natural Born Thrillers in WCW. He's actually become a really good friend of mine. But so I walk in, and he looks at me and he goes, Lash LaRue, is that you? and I had no idea who Lash LaRue was. He was in WCW kind of right there at the end, and I had a little liquid courage in me at that time, and I was like, yeah, Mike, hell yeah, it's me. Good to see you, buddy. And I made some kind of snide comment to some lady, and they're like, "Oh, Lash, you're still so funny." And I'm like, "What in the hell?" So I walk outside, and it's 2011. So I'm on my BlackBerry, Googling Lash LaRue, and I'm like, Lash LaRue, the Raging Cajun, blah 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 blah. I was like, all right, I got this shit. So I walk back inside, and like all these people start coming up to me, man, because Lash LaRue hadn't he like kind of vanished after WCW. He hadn't been like seen like in the public in like 10 years, and so all these people are coming up to me and they're like asking for pictures and autographs and stuff like that. And I'm out here trying to hustle, man. I was like, yeah, go buy me a shot or buy me a beer and I'll take a picture with you or whatnot. So people are just freaking. Just throwing them down, throwing them at me, and so Nash gets on the microphone and he's like giving like a speech, like a toast, and he's like, oh, he's thanking everybody for coming out. And he starts naming, some of the wrestlers that were there. It was like Billy Gunn and Raven and X-Pac, and he goes, he's like, and over in there in the corner we got Mike Sanders and effing Lash LaRue, and the whole crowd starts chanting Lash, 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 and I'm like, oh my god. So he's like, so Kevin Nash was like, all right, Lash, I guess you got to come up here and give a speech. And I'm like, I mean, at this point, I was like, I'm in too far, So, man, I roll up there and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Raging Cajun Lash LaRue, and I'm better than you. And I don't know, they popped and everybody starts like going crazy, and so there were some pretty attractive women in this place, and they're like coming up to me and they're like, I thought you were married. And I'm like, oh yeah, I left that broad in Alabama. I'm out here selling real estate now. And so what happened? So anyway, I ended up getting invited to like a Hall of Fame party the next night. And so when I tell you, you walk in there and it's like wrestling royalty. I mean, dude, Hogan, Rock, Austin, all like in this little room, and basically like a bar, like a Sheraton or something. And so I'm in there, man, and like I walk up to the bar, like Austin's here, Rock is here, my fake ass Lash LaRue, and I walk up and I'm like, hey, Dwayne, Steve, like order some shot of whiskey that I couldn't afford. And this lady comes up to me and she's like, she's like, are you Lash LaRue? And by this point, guys, like my head has gotten so freaking big. Like I am this character that I have been doing. So I'm like, yeah, Toots, let me guess, you want a picture or an autograph? And she's like, actually, Dab, I'd like you to get the hell up out of our bar. And I'm like, so what had happened was the real Lash LaRue was on Facebook, and apparently he's like a really good like Christian. Like, I think he's like a youth pastor or something, and like doesn't drink, doesn't none of that. So he gets tagged in about 200 pictures of fans.
Oh no!
that are like me like pounding shots and like taking shots off girls' boobs and stuff.
Oh
so,
man.
Yeah, he was not real happy. And anyway, it became this whole ordeal. And I always jokingly say the most famous I ever was in wrestling was not ever being Dab Savage. It was being the fake Lash LaRue in Atlanta.
Dang, that is wild. Hey, listen, it's funny because we've had a fake Diesel and we've had a fake Razor Ramon. I mean, rest in peace to the guy that played the fake Razor Ramon, and rest in peace to Scott Hall. But I'm just saying, we've definitely had fake Diesel and a fake Razor Ramon. So
why not a fake Lash LaRue? Why not?
Wow, that is crazy. Wow.
That is wild work, bro.
Yeah.
and then to get called out in front of Rock and Austin and all them, like that's wild. That makes it even worse,
bro. It was funny, like because she was with these two bouncer security guards, looked like they were like Secret Service agents, and I tried to like be like I don't like to hang out. You know at the beginning of Fresh Prince where Uncle Phil's throwing DJ Jazzy Jeff out the front door.
Yeah.
That was me. I was DJ Jazzy Jeff that night.
He was like, he'd point to the door. He'd be like, ah! He start flying out the door. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to ask you, are you gonna go on a book tour?
You know, I've done a little. So I've done a couple like Comic-Cons and things like that. Like some signings. A couple. I did one bookstore signing in Florida. I probably should have done some research on the actual bookstore. I didn't realize that it was like a middle-aged white woman bookstore. So, they were a book about partying with strippers and pro wrestling. Maybe not exactly the
Oh yes.
maybe not exactly on their coffee table list. So, but yeah, I mean, I've been kind of I've lived in Arizona for the last like 9 years, and I've just been kind of doing like Airbnb life for the last like 4 or 5 months. And I'm currently in Georgia. I was down in Florida for about 3 months, and probably about to make another random move somewhere else just to kind of. So yeah. I mean, the short answer, yes, but I'm gonna be a little bit more like meticulous about it, not just go sign books for old ladies that will never read this thing. But yeah, I plan on doing some stuff. And I will eventually. I'm going to get back out to Arizona, and there's a lot more, a lot more like comic shops and record shops and stuff like that. That I think the crowd would be more kind of my forte, and be more interested in it. So yeah, I hope to start doing some more of that stuff like in the next couple of months for sure.
Oklahoma City.
That's the spot.
That's where I'm at. So yeah, that's the spot.
Okay, that's what's up.
Hey, we welcome you to AC. We got we have an event called J1 Con that comes down here every summer. Comes every summer to the Showboat, Atlantic City. I don't know if you ever been to AC before, but they definitely have a lot of wrestlers that come down there and throw shows. GCW's always over here. So
cool. Heck yeah. I have not, but that's a bucket list. I don't know about Oklahoma City, bro. I don't know if that's my vibe.
Hey, we 3 hours from Dallas, so if that means anything.
Okay.
So typically when I'm not being interrupted by kids, if you got kids, you feel my pain. If you don't have kids, then just don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh yeah, man. I've knock on wood, I've dodged that bullet for 42 years. So
I would say if you can help it, just because I've been interrupted so many times. Because I actually start my questioning off with the beginning, like what actually got you into professional wrestling?
Yeah, I was a huge fan, like everybody else. I mean, I always wanted to do it, but we're still. You got to think we're at this point. We were still in the early stages of social media, and MySpace was still
MySpace.
Right? Me and Tom, we were boys. He's
Tom
my
T. Tom T. Yeah.
So I had, but I had just so. Wrestling was what was cool about wrestling to me. I mean, I played like baseball and stuff like that when I was younger, but like the wrestling was cool because it was something that I could do in my mind, it was something I thought I could do as I like was getting older, like in my 20s and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't like baseball. If you don't make it, if you don't play college ball, your baseball career is done, right? So I'd really started getting in shape, and I had grown my hair out, and anyway, so when the wrestlers would come work out at the gym, and I would fangirl, and stalk them, and like hang out and take pictures with them and stuff like that. So my MySpace profile picture was a picture of me and Triple H from like the Gold's Gym that I used to work out at, and my MySpace name was Dab Savage. So this guy hits me up one day, and he was like, "Hey man, like, are you a wrestler?" And I was like, oh, I gave him the whole spiel, like, oh no, I'm a fanboy. I would love to wrestle though. I just, the opportunities just never presented itself. And he had trained with Dory Funk Jr. and had like a little training thing at his house, and had a ring and stuff. And he was like, man, you got a good look, and if you're interested, you can come out and see how you like it. And I was like, bro, I'll be there tomorrow, and so I would. I'd get up and go to the gym and go work my job, and I'd drive an hour out to this dude's house, and he had a ring like set up in his yard. So I'd walk through the weeds, and we would train in like 100-degree South Georgia weather. And I just I fell in love with it. And so it was kind of random, thanks to my MySpace page and a picture of Triple H, it kind of got the door open for me.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Did you know Triple H, or it was just a picture that you photoshopped?
No. Whenever WWE or WCW or whatever would do house shows, the little town that I'm from only had one gym. So if they were going to get a workout in before the show, that's where they were going to work out. So I would just literally hang out like all day. Like I'd drink as many protein shakes as I could handle, just to have a reason to be there. So it didn't look like the ultimate creeper. But yeah, I met a ton of guys that way. Actually, one of the coolest one, Triple H was cool. I met him a couple of times. The coolest person that I met, shockingly, was The Miz. He was just super like humble and down to earth, and he had just got in there, and like I forgot, I think like he was like doing arms and something. I walked by and made a comment or something, and he was like, well, what you working out today, man? And I was like, arms. And he was like, well, that's what I'm doing. He's like, you want to work out together? So ended up like just like shooting the shit and working out, like we did a workout together and hung out. And he was just, that was a little earlier in his careers when he was like, super heel, kind of the annoying, like real world guy or whatever. But, it's always, it's, even though like we're smart to the business and stuff like that, it's just always funny when you meet guys that are like the biggest jerks on TV, and then you meet them in real life and they're like the nicest people. And then sometimes it's the polar opposite. Sometimes the guys that are like the ultimate baby faces are like the biggest jerks in the world. So you just never really know.
Yeah, that is most definitely true. There's so many athletes that we have when of course we have the Oklahoma City Thunder here, and every now and again,
Seattle Supersonics, man, you took away my favorite basketball team.
I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. So, but I remember when the team first moved here to Oklahoma City, and I was working in our local mall at the time, and I would always see the athletes come through there. And the ones that you see on TV the most, like I remember Allen Iverson, came through the mall. I walk up there, he was an asshole. But then this is when he was playing with the Denver Nuggets. So, okay. But then I find Carmelo Anthony, and Carmelo Anthony is the total opposite. He was standing there signing autographs for any and everybody that walked up to him, and even was like, hey, you see that guy over there? Go get him too. Just directing everybody on who to go get autographs from. But Allen Iverson was a jerk.
That sucks, man. Because Allen Iverson was always one of my favorite basketball players too. So you hate it, but I mean, this is what we were just saying earlier. You know, don't meet your heroes.
Right,
I
right,
was like,
exactly. Like I
I
don't
was
ever
a
think I want to meet Michael Jordan. I don't want
oh
to because
no,
I know he's an asshole.
oh for sure, bro. I remember back when I was a junior in high school, I was a ball boy for the Atlanta Hawks, and um, it was Jason Terry's rookie year, and
The
I had
Jet.
no idea. I had no idea who he was. Most people forget that he played for the Hawks for a couple of years before he
Yeah,
went
he
to
did.
Dallas. But
He
he
did.
but we were doing like shoot around, and he had a Superman tattoo that had like JT in it, and I didn't know who this guy was. He was a rookie. This is like it was a preseason game, I think, and I'm trying to be cool, you know, like, and so we're doing shoot around, and I was like, hey man, I was like, what's that JT stand for? And buddy, he looked at me and he goes, what did you say? And what's JT stand for? I didn't know. And he was like, I'm Jason fucking Terry, and just like threw the ball, and I was just like, oh shit.
My
And then
bad.
so I always hated it, man. And then the year that Dallas went to the final, like, you know, the year they won the championship or whatever, and he ended up getting like MVP of the finals or whatever. I was so sick, man. I always hated that guy, but
Hey, the MVP threw the ball at me. Yes.
yeah, that's true. There's that. There's that. He hated my guts his rookie season. So there's that.
I did, you know, they say because I'm a big time football guy, you know, from the South. I'm actually from Texas, but I live in Oklahoma. I actually one of my favorite football players of all time is Barry Sanders.
Oh yeah.
And in the same mall that I worked in, like randomly, I'm walking through Dillard's to go use the bathroom because the store I was working in didn't have a bathroom connected to it. We had to walk to Dillard's. So I'm walking through Dillard's to go use the bathroom, and I see this short, stocky dude standing here, and I'm like, he looks familiar. So I go back and I talk to my boss, and I was like, I'm gonna stay here. I want you to go to Dillard's. I want you to go see if that's who I think it is. He went left, come back. He was like, that's Barry Sanders. I said, that's what I thought. So I went back to Dillard's. He's smelling and buying cologne.
Uh-huh.
So I have an index card and I stop him. I was like, Mr. Sanders, do you mind if I get your autograph? He was like, young man, tell me why I should give you my autograph. I was like, I'll be honest with you. I'm not an Oklahoma State fan. I'm a Texas Longhorn fan. But you are my favorite running back of all time, and I do believe you are the GOAT of all running backs. And if it wasn't for you retiring early, you would have broke that record long before Emmitt Smith did. He said, that'll work for me, and sign my card for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then he sat there and we shot the shit for a couple minutes, and then I let him go on about his business. The coolest dude I've ever met, though, Barry Sanders.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was scared there for a second. I was like, man, you've already ruined AI for me, man. Don't ruin Barry Sanders for me. But that's good to know that
not Barry. Not Barry. No, he was cool. He was really cool. So you mentioned that you do have a bit of an athletic background. You played baseball and stuff like that. So when you got into training for professional wrestling, how was it taking your first bump?
It's taking the first bump wasn't so bad. It was running the ropes that really ate me up. Like and taking a front bump was super scary to me, you know, because you're basically doing like a front flip and landing on your back. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I felt like I had gotten in some sort of car wreck, but man, my rib. I mean, dude, the first time because you know when you first started training, I mean, it's you're just basically running the ropes until you can't move anymore, you know, and just completely covered, ribs just purple and all that. But shoot, man, as soon as I stood in a wrestling ring for the first time, like, there was no question. If like I remember the trainer was like, he's like, you gonna come back? I said, yes sir, I'll see you tomorrow. And I mean, literally every day for 6 months I was at his house running the ropes, taking bumps, learning the moves. And I kind of already had my my character. I knew who Dab Savage was. He's like this '80s David Lee Roth, rock star. That so the performance aspect of it, like I really already knew. Dab Savage is just Chandler Dabbs, after 8 vodka tonics. So that wasn't that hard, but yeah, I mean, and it's kind of like, but once you do, like, the thing with wrestling, and that's why, it's scary, especially, you start getting closer to like we're talking like WWE, like you start getting closer to like WrestleMania season and stuff like that. When you're wrestling, 4 or 5 nights a week, your body you never get used to taking bumps or getting hit with chairs or any of that crazy stuff, but your body, it's kind of, think of it like going to the gym. If you go to the gym every day, you may get a little sore, but if you don't work out for 5 years and then go try to bench press 315 pounds, you're not going to be able to move for a couple of days, right? And it's kind of like that with wrestling. So it's weird. You kind of, the WWE is such a it's just, it's such a business now with like the TKO and all this stuff. But, it's just weird that, they kind of have to walk this fine line now, because they don't want, the CM Punks and the Roman Reigns to get hurt, going into a big match. But the same token, if these guys aren't wrestling but once a month or once every 3 months, their likelihood for getting hurt, is so much greater than if they're doing it. So it's like a weird line, that you kind of have to walk. But yeah, but I like shoot, man, I did that show a couple months ago, and I just taking a couple. I mean, it was a tag team match, and I played it where I didn't do, I came in with a hot tag and did all the moves and let them do all the hard stuff. But even just taking like, thank you. But even just taking a couple bumps, man, I mean, shoot, from it being so long, yeah, I was ice bath and hot tubbing it for about a week.
I bet. We're all three of us are in our 40s. I mean, he's in his 50s, but all three of us are in our 40s. So hey, we don't recover like we used to anymore.
No.
I was out there a couple days ago shooting the basketball with my son. He'll be 6 on Wednesday, and he had me running around, and I came inside, and I'm talking about knees are swollen, ankles are swollen. I was in the bathtub, in a hot bathtub for a good hour, and then I had my wife come in there and throw some ice in there. Like, I was freaking sore. I'm like, I didn't think I could get sore with a 6-year-old. That's crazy.
I did the same thing on Christmas Day, man. I shot basketball with my nephew who's 10. And man, the same thing, like, it wasn't even that intense. It was mostly just shoot around and stuff. But yeah, man, it's getting old sucks.
It does. It does. Have you ever, because you said Dab is like a David Lee Roth, right? And I'm looking at I looked at some of your pictures. I have your Instagram pulled up right now. And some of the pictures I'm seeing, and then some of the pictures that you sent us for the video and stuff. You know who you remind me of?
Who's that?
John Morrison.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess you've never been told that. Okay, you have. Okay.
I used to get it years, like, yeah, old school, yeah. But yeah, with like kind of because I wore like the velvety pants, and especially like when I would be in good shape, I would get that more than. But I mean, I can see it. I think
it's more of the gear.
Yeah.
Like the glasses and then the pants. Yeah.
I would say I would say the Young Bucks too. The Young Bucks, the Rockers. Who else? There's somebody else too that has that similar type of ring gear.
But the first person that I thought of when you first sent those pictures about a month or so ago when we were setting all this up, the first thing that I thought of was, is he John Morrison's brother? That's the first thing that went through my head. I was like, they gotta be related because they look similar.
I wish I could do all that crazy parkour stuff that he does, but that guy's crazy shape, man. But yeah, I was my favorite wrestlers, or I guess that I tried to emulate some of their style. I mean, my two favorite wrestlers are Jericho and HBK. Those were like the two guys that I thought were just great. So, Jericho, if you go back and watch some of those like mid 2000s, like when he first got to WWE, he kind of wore some similar he wore like kind of like the velvety spandex or flare pants and stuff like that. Not that I didn't necessarily like rip those off of him. It's weird. I've worn actual wrestling trunks one time in my life, and it was because like I was doing a tag team with somebody, and they wanted us to like look similar. But I've only wrestled in wrestling trunks one time in my entire life.
So what's the story behind that? Like, you just don't find them comfortable, or you just prefer the pants?
I think with my character, it made more sense to wear the pants. I mean, like I said, I'm very heavily like musically influenced too, and I love like that 80s glam rock kind of stuff. And I just, my entrance song was Van Halen, and I don't know, I just think it fit kind of I just like me wearing traditional wrestling tights, like just wouldn't it just wouldn't seem right. It wouldn't go with like the character, so I never did.
That's understandable. Where can I get that shirt? The one you're wearing, Dabamania?
Oh yeah.
I need that shirt.
Well, Dabamania.
I need that shirt.
Yeah, I need to get some more made, man. These are yeah, I need to get some more made. I used to, it was funny. I used to like back in the like the Super Hustling days, I had a bunch, like I used to just like do, so I did a Dabamania one. I did one that was like Roddy Piper. Instead of saying Hot Rod, it said Hot Dab. I would just like rip off like 80s t-shirts and like make them like my own. And it was funny because I would like, if I'd go out to a bar or something in like whatever town we were in, I'd always wear my own merch just because I'm a mark for myself. And it was, but it was always funny because you'd be like in some town where there'd be like a ton of like hippie, like stoner guys, and they would see something that said Dab. And I
was going to ask that.
So it was so. So there's some hippies in North Carolina or somewhere right now walking around in Dab Savage stuff, and they have no idea what they're wearing.
They think it's for something totally different.
Oh, for sure.
Bars, you know what Dab is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure because you old and stuff, so I just wanted to make sure.
I should be asking you what Dab is. I should be asking you because I know.
Bro, if you knew me back before I joined the Army.
Different world.
Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned Jericho and Shawn Michaels as being two of your favorites. So you got two right there. If you can complete a Mount Rushmore with another two, who would they be?
Okay. I'm going to go. So I'm going to go. This is. I think you got to throw Hogan on there. Not necessarily just for box office, I think you got to throw Hogan on there. And I think you got to go. I think you got to go Austin. I think I'd go Austin, Hogan, Jericho, HBK.
Not a bad
With a
list.
with a very like honorably mentioned, like if we could squeeze one more head on there, I would go Ravishing Rick Rude, honorably mentioned.
Ooh. See, we asked this question to everybody that we get on the show, and you're the first person to say Ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You get your normals, like you get a Bret Hart, you get Shawn Michaels. We've heard a couple of Chris Jerichos. We get a lot of Stone Cold Steve Austins, a lot of The Rock, and mine, which I threw everybody off with mine. But again, this is my list, is your list, and so on and so forth. I said Mr. Perfect.
Oh,
I don't think he gets nowhere near the credit that he should get.
For sure, man. That's a great one.
And then you just threw out Rick Rude. I'm like, that's the first time somebody's thrown out Rick Rude.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's cool to hear different perspectives. Like, we get the normals, right? Your Shawns and your Bretts and your Stone Colds and your Rocks, but like, is anybody gonna throw somebody different in there? Like, you just threw Rick Rude. I said Mr. Perfect.
Perfect, yeah. Heck yeah.
So, do you prefer a heel or a baby face?
They're both fun. Probably heel. I'm heel is easy. It's easy to be a jerk. You know, sometimes being a babyface, you feel kind of cheesy. You know, and it's fun to just, especially like if to just run a town down, or run your opponent down, or my favorite thing to do as a heel. I used to always wear like sunglasses when I came out to the ring, and I'd walk out and act like I was going to do the Bret Hart thing, where he would, he'd put the sunglasses on the little kid. And I would walk up to a little kid and put the sunglasses on them, and like right when they were like about, they start smiling or like, "Look, Mom," I would yank the sunglasses off and just stomp them right in front of their face.
And that's why he's savage.
Savage moment right there. That's a savage moment right there.
That is savage. That is so fucking petty.
I know. It's awesome.
I was just thinking about that, like, damn, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I'd have been screaming. If I seen that, I'd have been on the floor laughing, man.
Man, I pissed off some mom and dads for sure. How dare you stop these glasses in front of my kid? Just that kid's probably not even yours.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Hold on. He just said that kid's probably not even yours, bro. You just gonna gloss over that?
Hey, listen. If you can get the fans to hate you, you have done your job. I mean, that's
for sure.
Like I have to say that if you can get them to hate you, you've done your job, because some of these fans be so emotionally invested into the character, they can't tell the difference between somebody acting and somebody actually being themselves. So when you do that and they get pissed off like that, I feel like it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. The best. And then you got them. It doesn't even really matter what and that's what I, not that I give advice really, but but like when young guys ask me for what they're like, well, what did you think of my match? I'm like, I don't know, I didn't watch it. I'm like, but because it doesn't matter. I mean, yes, I mean your match it matters, but if you're dull and they don't care about you as a babyface or a heel, if you're just a nameless, faceless, blue trunk wearing wrestler that goes there and does a bunch of moves, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. You know, I would go. I would have the crowd so pissed and hate me so bad that it didn't even. I mean, I could go out there and break dance and not wrestle for 10 minutes and take 2 bumps, and it would be the most over thing on the card. Not that I didn't focus on the actual wrestling aspect of it, but everything else is. I mean, you know, look at, like, again, like if we're talking like more modern stuff. I don't know if you guys watched the CM Punk Roman Reigns promo from last Monday.
Yeah, that was fire.
I want to. A week and a half ago, I would have told you I don't really care about that match. After that promo, I was like, dude, I want to see, you know, like, but it's the promos and it's the emotion and it's that kind of stuff that, you know, it's the thing about, you know, with like WCW, you know, people used to always, if you go back and watch some of those WCW main events, you know, the Hogan and Piper and some of this, like the Hogan and Sting is a great example. The matches are awful, but all the promos and you being like emotionally invested and wanting to see Sting finally get his hands on Hulk Hogan or Roddy Piper or whatever, it didn't really matter if the match sucked because you were so emotionally invested in it. I think there's a lot of that missing, and like we were talking at the beginning about when you do see just like a good old fashioned wrestling match, when you see a good promo like the Roman Reigns Punk thing, man, it sticks out like a sore thumb because it's just so few and far between, and I don't feel like people focus enough on that aspect of it anymore.
Why is that?
I don't know. Like, you know, well, you know, I think a lot of it now, if you notice the guys, more modern guys that are over, grew up wrestling fans. And I think the problem that you have now is that these like, especially like with the girls, a lot of them are just college athletes that have a good look, and you know they get recruited by, you know, NXT or the Performance Center or whatever it is, and so they didn't necessarily grow up wrestling fans. So you're teaching someone who knows nothing about. It's like when you have a conversation with someone who knows nothing about wrestling. It's like they just don't, like, wrestling's one of those things, you either get it or you don't, right? You either love it like we do, or you just think it's like whatever, it's just wrestling. And I think, you know, that a lot of these newer school wrestlers just aren't fans. They just, you know, they played high school volleyball and, you know, are 6'4" and have a good body, and so they you know, they saw an opportunity to make some money, which is cool. But it's not the same as, you know, like, you know, the older guys, like the guys that grew up in the territories that just, you know, wanted a shot, or, you know, like the second generation guys, you know, that are like, obviously, like the people now that are over are like your Usos, your Roman Reigns, your CM Punk, your Drew McIntyres, your Cody Rhodes, you know, but those are guys that grew up loving wrestling, and you can tell the difference between someone like that and freaking Maxine Dupree or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's night and day. So I think that's really more to do with it than anything.
And then you got the guys that are coming in from like the colleges and stuff,
Yeah.
like Obafemi.
Yeah.
Like, then you got some of these freak athletes like him and Braun Breaker. I know Braun Breaker, his whole entire family was in the business, but he came from the football field. You know
Sure.
what I mean? And Obafemi came from the track field where he was throwing the shot put in the discus and stuff like that. But they took to the wrestling industry like they took to their respective sports.
Yep.
Like they took it serious enough to where now they are looked at as the future of the
For sure.
industry. You know what I mean?
Both of those dudes, I think that if we were to look back, I think within the next 3 or 4 years, Braun Breaker probably within the next year. But I'd never seen Obafemi until I watched the Royal Rumble last weekend. That dude's awesome. Like that dude's he's a stud. Like he's got, talk about like total package. Like that guy has everything every quality you would ever want in a wrestler.
Who does he remind you of when you look at Obafemi? Who does he remind you of? Because I could name a bunch of people, but I want to hear your perspective.
If you, I'd have to watch more of his act, because the Royal Rumble doesn't really give you a great, because it's not really wrestling. It's more like punch, kick, throw.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking just look, kind of reminds me of like a Ron, like a young Ron Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
I know he was kind of he kind of gives me like some, just because of his size, like some Ahmed Johnson vibes.
Mm-hmm. We had Ahmed on the show. We had Ahmed on the
show.
Yeah, we had him. We had him like a few months back, like last year. Last year we had him on the show. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean he's impressive, man. But I haven't really, like I said, I haven't seen him actual, because I don't like, I know he's been like in NXT. I don't really keep up with NXT. So, but yeah, physically he's impressive, and he's got charisma. I mean, he's got the stuff you can't teach. You can't teach being a monster with that kind of build and having that kind of charisma. So, I mean, the rest, the moves can be taught. The it factor can't be taught. He's got the it factor. So I mean, he's 90% of the way there, just based off of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you some key matches to watch with him.
Okay.
Watch him versus Javon Evans. Watch him versus Ricky Saints. Watch him versus what's the guy's name that's deaf, but he looks like Randy Orton.
Yeah,
I forgot his name.
Miles Bourne.
Watch him versus Miles Bourne. Watch him. Of course, watch him versus Cody Rhodes. That was fire match. Watch him versus Cody Rhodes. There's a few others. But yeah, watch those. And trust me, you're definitely gonna like him. Like he's super dope.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry, my child came in here again. I gotta be in bed, bro. She done messed up my whole thought process. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna ask this last question, and then I'll let you take it away from there. So, if a young wrestler came to you today and said that they want to follow your path, what's the first piece of advice you'll give them about managing their career outside of the ring?
I think the first thing would be take care of your body, and but I mean, like, like I see these guys, that are like, when I did the show a few months ago, some guys, they had pretty cool looking gear and stuff like that, but like they don't physically look. I mean, they don't, like, I guess my verbiage would be, look like you're the main event on the poster, so because nobody, even if you're making $40 to go wrestle in front of 100 people, like those 100 people that paid $10 a ticket, They don't know that you only made $40. They know that the guys on WWE make millions of dollars. I mean, they probably know you're not making $1 million, but they probably think that you're doing okay. So like, take care of yourself. Like get in the gym. Like have a good body. I think that's super important. I mean, there's enough fat guys that wrestle in t-shirts. You don't need to be one of them. So I would say, take care of your body and, and know who you are. Like we were talking about, Dab Savage. I know exactly who Dab Savage is. Dab Savage is Chandler after 8 vodka drinks, blaring Van Halen for the, 3 hours, swiping right on hot girls on Tinder. Like that's who Dab Savage is. And so like know who your character is. And, because like we were talking about some of these other guys, like if you've got a good look and you've got charisma, like that's 90% of the battle. Like you can't teach those things. You have to actually, you can't teach somebody to go to the gym. They either go to the gym or they don't. You can't teach somebody to be entertaining. They're either entertaining or they're not. So if you can master those two things, then, I mean, you can learn how to do a headlock and a wrist lock and take a bump, and psychology, and I would also tell people as far as like the work rate goes, like always try to always work with someone who's better than you. Which kind of goes hand in hand. Like I was blessed in the aspect of because I took so much pride in like my look and all that kind of thing. I would always be the one that was going to wrestle, the name, maybe, if they were bringing in a guy from TV, they're going to want him to wrestle me because you put, I mean, I never got the chance to work with Buff, but like we'll take a guy like Buff, you got Buff Bagwell on a poster. You want somebody that can kind of match that look. So, so if you're gonna, if you do those little things, you in essence are going to work with people that are better wrestlers and better workers than you are, and that's how you learn psychology, and that's how you learn, the stuff that's harder to teach. So, yeah, I mean that would really, take care of your body, perfect your craft and your gimmick, and try to always wrestle guys that are better wrestlers than you.
Yeah, I think wrestling, I think when you do stuff like that, it definitely levels you up. I think in anything for that matter, it levels you up. I remember like, cause I'm big, I love basketball. So I remember when I first started hooping as a kid, I would always want to play against people that are better than me. Like I would literally like be put in situations where, like, not for nothing, when I was when I got my growth spurt, my my god brothers, we used to go to the court, and it's these like, these over 20 and 30 and 40-year-olds on the court dunking and hooping and shooting and whatever. And because I was a big kid, they'll just throw me out there into the wolves. And I just had to learn, like, I tell a lot of my friends all the time, like, I learned how to play ball from the 90s. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the grizzled basketball, not the basketball that we see today with a lot of the finesse and shooting. I learned like really like the posting and everything like that, the 15-footers, that's how I learned how to play. And like I remember like they used to beat me up bad. Like I mean like literally real bad. And then as I got older, I got stronger and stuff like that. Before you know it, I was beating him. I was going back. So I definitely believe that, when you're put in those type of situations, it definitely gives you the opportunity to level up. Like, it brings you up to a different space that you know what I mean, you could probably get by yourself, but it might take a little longer. But if they put you in there, like if you're a young, inspiring guy and they put you in there with a Randy Orton and you show some
Right.
promise. Like, of course, we seen that with Javon Evans and Randy Orton. He was in there, he put on a
Yep.
hell of a match
Yeah.
with Randy Orton. So it
Yeah.
definitely
Oh
makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a few quick hitting questions for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite move to hit?
Probably. So my finishing move's the little dabble do you leg drop, and it's the cheat. It's like the rock bottom, but or not the rock. It's like the people's elbow, but it's a leg drop, and it's so cheesy, but I just love doing it.
It's crazy how like some of the more cheesiest moves are the ones that get over, like a rock bottom,
Mhm.
or the Hogan leg drop. Like what?
Yeah.
It's crazy how that works.
Okay.
Least favorite bump to take.
What's it called? I used to be petrified of body slams, but I worked with this guy for like we did a program for like 6 months, and he would literally like grab me in a we would collar and elbow tie up, and he would just literally flip me and throw me right into a body slam, first move of the match every single time, because he knew that I hated him. That used to be. I'm not a power slams. I don't like. Just because you have to time it right, and there's a lot of room for error there. So I'd say probably power slams the bump that I hate the most.
All right, match type you want more of.
I like kind of gimmicky. Not when I say gimmicky, I don't mean gimmicky like street fight, cage match. I just mean gimmicky like to show your character. Like, like I used to do these matches where like, before we would.
Oh, it froze.
Uh-oh.
It froze. Is he gonna come back on?
Technology, folks. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah, I love it. Technology. Yeah.
Hey, while we waiting on Mr. Dab Savage to come back up, I just want to promo myself real quick. Last night, we all know was the Super Bowl. And we all know what happened at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Bunny had his halftime performance. I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think he put on an absolute show. But there are some people out there in Trumpy land that didn't like it. So y'all go look at my page and see what I had to say about it.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a technical difficulties, so I don't know that the system's bugging today. So I don't know, but
That's your system, bro. That's your system.
Ah, man. Yeah. 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 What was what was the last question? Continue.
He was talking about the match type he wanted more of.
Yeah. So I think really and truly, I like the cheesy crowd interaction stuff. Like we used to call them house show matches. So like, where you do a lot of like showboating and boo yay and dance offs and push up contests and just funny stuff that the crowd gets into, and those are just so much fun. Because you don't really have to do anything, and crowd you just get a good reaction. So more just the funny haha yay boo kind of stuff I'm super into.
Okay, on the back end of that, what match do you want least of?
Anything with like anything like, like street fight, like, weapon matches. I just think, I mean, in the right circumstance for a payoff, those are cool, but I think they're way overdone.
And you know what? And the WWE is notorious for that. Like whatever city they're in, they'll name it like the Philadelphia Street Fight, the Chicago Street Fight, the Little Rock Street Fight. Like, bro, we don't care. We don't care to see all that nonsense. Like, just call it a street fight. You don't have to name it after the city. That's so cheesy. That's so cheesy. That's some Vince McMahon type shit, and we are in 2026. Yep. Can we do something better?
Right, exactly.
So, in that, what is the hardest that you've been hit?
The first thing that pops up is I worked a match, that's probably 10 years ago, and I was wrestling this guy that was way bigger than me, and I forgot what the bump was, but it was, I didn't brace right, and he picked me up and just, I think maybe it was a spine buster or something, but I didn't hit my shoulders at all. I landed directly on my head and was concussed immediately. And next thing I remember, I was in the back, like drinking a bottle of water, and I thought they had stopped the match. And apparently, we wrestled for like 20 minutes. I don't remember any of it. I was out completely cold, which is kind of scary, Yeah. But so yeah, that would probably. It wasn't. He didn't do anything wrong. It was just a weird, like, just timing thing, and yeah. But so yeah, that's probably. I mean, I've been hit, with baseball bats and gone through tables and stuff like that, and that all hurts. But your adrenaline is so high. With me, like, you don't necessarily, like, even when you do like a crazy bump like that, you got so much, it's like it's an hour once the match is over and like your endorphins have come down. That's when you really start to feel the blunt of those. But yeah, that would probably. But I've done all the crazy stuff, man. Jumping off the rope into the crowd through tables, and I was young at one point in life and didn't care.
Once again, we don't heal the same anymore now that we're in our 40s.
Right.
I'm still feeling it. My hamstrings are still sore from playing basketball 4 days ago.
Yeah, I keep tell people that beetroot and ginger and turmeric will do wonders. Yeah,
there you go.
I'm trying to tell people, yeah.
That's why he 50 looking like he 30.
There you go.
Toughest opponent you've faced so far?
Man, I've probably first one that pops in my mind was Chase Stevens from TNA. And not tough in a bad way at all. I was just really young, and he was like the first like name person that I wrestled. And he was, he didn't, he packed his punches and stuff like that. And yeah, Chase is one. And I've worked with people that probably had no business being in a wrestling ring that were tough for a different reason. Like they were tough because you couldn't move them. You couldn't. They didn't go with you when you went to pick them up for a slam or something like that. So, but like as far as a good tough, probably Chase.
I'm gonna have to look into him.
Yeah,
music
he's,
or go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying he's still doing his thing, man. He was in a tag team in the early TNA days called the Naturals.
Yes,
they were managed by Shane Douglas for a while too. But yeah, super good worker. Still looks good. older than me and still doing it full time. So,
Who gave you the best advice early on, and what was it?
Probably. Let's see. That's a good question. It's funny. It probably would be Chase, because we were working on this really crappy show, and he pulled me to the side and he said, "You see what all the rest of these guys are doing?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Don't ever do that if you want to make it in this business." I said, okay, noted. I will listen to you.
Just straight up, just straight like that. Dream opponent, any era.
Unoriginal HBK.
That's okay. Yeah, that's your dream opponent.
Yeah, that's just for the nostalgia aspect of it. Yeah, I got to go Sean.
Dream promotion to wrestle for.
Oh man, I mean, I would say financially WWE, but if I was just gonna pick, because I was such a fan of WCW, if I would have been able to, during the height of the Monday Night Wars, Monday Nitro, that era, that would have been where it was at for sure.
Now, I almost have a feeling what you're going to say to this next one, but let's see. Championship you would want around your waist.
Gold Eagle, baby.
You switch it up. I thought you was going to say Big Gold.
Gold Eagle, Winged Eagle, baby, Winged Eagle.
I thought for sure he was going to say Big Gold because of WCW. I thought for sure.
Man, that wing Eagle belt, man, you got to think that era. Brett held that belt, Sean held that belt, Austin held that belt. That was the era where wrestling was so hot. It's just something I've actually have one framed that's signed by Hulk. And it's just such a cool. I just love that. I love that design of that belt. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Winged Eagle. Everybody loves the Winged Eagle, but the way you've been talking about WCW throughout this whole show, I thought for sure you was going to say Big Gold.
Yeah, and I think it. Yeah, and I think the only reason is that I think towards the end, the Big Gold kind of got tarnished a little bit when you had, David Arquette and Vince Russo being champion. Where at least with the Winged Eagle, it got retired. I mean, it was never like a mockery of what it once was. So, I think if you cut out the last 4 or 5 years of WCW, then it would have been a 1 and a 1A. But I
get it. I got 2 more.
Okay.
Trash talk or mind games?
Trash talk.
I love a good trash talker. And you know what really irritates me, and I know it's part of the mind games, and I know it's what he's supposed to do. And we didn't see it tonight. We didn't see it tonight on Raw. But when Gunther comes out in the middle of his music and he just has that laugh, that shit-eating laugh on, just makes me want to just, like, bro, you just retired AJ Styles. Makes me just want to just punch him in the face. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And I get that's part of the mind games, but that irritates the piss out of me.
Yeah. But that's what he's supposed to. He's doing his, Gunther reminds me of I don't know a ton about it, but he reminds me of someone that would have been just a nasty heel, like in the territory wrestling days. He's got that old school kind of vibe to him.
He sure does. And I think he really prides himself on that too, because he does talk about sometimes in his promos about being old school like that, hard hitting old school. So
Mhm.
I think he prides himself on carrying that mantle of being the old school wrestler in the new school generation.
Right. For sure.
All right, last question for the quick hitters. What should fans expect next from Dab Savage?
Man, um, you know, I, I, I don't know. It could be some book stuff. Could be some music stuff. Could be some acting stuff. Could be a combo of all of it. Um, I don't know. I'm a very fly on the seat of my pants kind of guy, and when I see the opportunity, I try to take it. So we'll see. I I think I'm done wrestling, but I also get that itch every once in a while. So who
Never
knows?
say never.
Never say never.
So, real quick, I meant to ask you this earlier when we were still talking about the book. What was it like promoting and publishing your own book? Because a lot of authors, they have publishing companies that do all that stuff for them. But what was it like doing it yourself?
Um, you know, it's a lot because especially when you use like social media for promoting. Obviously it's like anything else. You got to do the grassroots marketing, the boots on the ground kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
the social media stuff, you try. It sucks because you feel like you're being like super annoying because you're posting the same shit every day. Like, hey, here
Yeah.
I am again. So you try to be clever with it and not make it super annoying. As far as the publishing aspect of it, though, I did, and I mean, clearly, I mean, there's grammatical stuff, but you know, I wanted it to be my words, and so I wanted it not. It's not clean. It's not pretty. Like it's if we were all sitting around having a conversation, I wanted it to sound like that. So I wanted you to know like these are my words. This isn't some AI bullshit. This isn't. It's not supposed to be pretty. So like that was kind of gratifying. So like I one of my friends is like an English major. He's like he's super nerdy, and he's like, man, I've already found 4 words that are misspelled. I'm like, yeah, but that's how I would say the fucking word. Like that. Like don't yeah, don't overanalyze this. But no, it was cool, and to just kind of have the freedom of no one trying to change it or make it too pretty is cool for sure.
Well, Bars, you got anything else?
No, that was it. That was it. That was it for me.
Heck yeah.
Well, Mr. Dab, if you want to go ahead and plug in all your socials and everything so we can make sure all of our followers go give you a follow too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And first off, I just appreciate you guys having me on here, man. We've been going for a while. This has been a cool, just a chill conversation, man. I feel like I've known you for years, and we met an hour ago. So I appreciate your time and giving me this platform to talk and get to know each other. And yeah. And as far as the my socials, easiest is probably just my Instagram. I was I had a crazy ex-girlfriend, so I was banned from Instagram. Or I got kicked out of Instagram for like a year. I'm trying to get my legs back under me and post and stuff like that. But so yeah, I'm just at Dab Savage on Instagram. And then yeah, the link for the book is there as well. And any of your listeners out there that are interested in like an actual physical I know I'm an old school guy. I like physical stuff. We stare at screens enough all through the day as it is. So
Mm-hmm.
last thing I want to do after I've stared at a screen all day is stare at a screen in my free time to read. So yeah, you just give me a follow. Anyone that's interested, just shoot me a message, and I'll get you a hard copy on the way. And yeah, just give me a follow. I'll who knows what kind of crazy nonsense I'll be up to in the next upcoming months, but I guarantee it'll be entertaining. So
Absolutely. And I shot you a follow from my personal account. It's Darkwing Dub. It's just a picture of what I would consider a heel version of Darkwing Duck. So you'll know it when you see it.
Awesome.
I'll shoot you a DM either tonight or in the morning about getting information on how to get the book from you, because I definitely want a copy.
Cool.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I think I followed you already. From my other account, from my Bars Wrestling Media account. I think I did already. Yep, right here. So I followed you. So I'm definitely gonna be hitting you up about the book and everything, like how I can get a copy and stuff.
Perfect.
Y'all make sure to go show our new friend. And you know what? Hold on real quick before I say that. Everybody says the same thing. Feels like we've all known each other for years, and we just started talking hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe it's just something natural with us. Like we literally just like to sit down and we don't want it to seem more like a interview, like we have our questions mapped out and all this other stuff. Like I literally, when we started this, not even a full year ago, like we've been doing this for less than a year, and I feel I just want to talk.
Yeah,
just talk. I mean, I don't have questions. I don't have none of that in front of me. It's like I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask him about this then. I'm just talking.
Yeah. Well, you guys,
natural.
That's the best, man. The natural stuff is where it's at, because it's authentic and real, and you guys got a good thing going here, and I, like I said, very appreciative for having me on here.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, y'all go show Dab Savage some love. Hit him up about the book, Legacy of Audacity. You can also get it on your Kindle if you don't want the hard copy. I've already looked at it. I want a hard copy. Bars wants a hard copy, but I did look at it. You can get it for your Kindle. And there's your hard copy right there.
Boom.
We end every show with the same question. If you could see anybody on the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast, who would it be? But Dab Savage has to help us get that person on the show.
I would say, man, that's a good question. I would say the above average Mike Sanders, so you could hear his side of the Lash LaRue story.
Oh. Above average Mike Sanders. Cool. I will look him up.
Yeah. He's after the whole WrestleMania ordeal, we've actually maintained a pretty good friendship over the last 12, 13 years. So I'll throw in a good word for you too.
Hey, we appreciate that. We really would.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, we appreciate you for taking time out your busy schedule to be on the show, talk about your book, shoot the shit, and just other things. We are grateful, and you are family now. So, you know what I mean? Don't be a stranger. If you got something going on, hit us up. We definitely schedule you. Be back on the show. We could talk that talk as usual.
Perfect, man. I love it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And that is the interview for this evening. We hope you guys were watching. We thank you guys for watching. And we'll be back with another interview and another episode. Stay tuned. Bars Wrestling Media, the Dynamic One, Darkwing Dub. Special guest, Dab Savage. Salute.
And that wraps up another explosive edition of the podcast. Join us next week as the road to the championship continues.